Oh, yeah. I'm on it, but I don't have any sound here. I can't seem to figure it out.
We can hear you, Mayor.
Mayor Taylor, I think you're on the.
There you go.
Not on mute.
How'd that work? I don't know. All right, I'm good.
Mayor Taylor,
How are you, sir?
you're not on mute.
No, not anymore. Got a little technical support here. Can they hear you? Can you hear me, Tom?
We can.
Everybody can hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, we don't know why your volume wasn't working, Randy.
Yeah, what was going on there?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right. I'm going to put myself on mute. I just was checking. Oh, my gosh.
Jim, you're not on mute either.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Through that little snafu with our Mayor Salisbury, I think we're ready to start. Good morning, everyone. Today is March 13th. Welcome to the Eastern Shore Delegation. I'd like to call this meeting to order if we could rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members, I'll be offering prayer today. If you'll bow your head. Lord, we thank you for this day. We seek your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin our meeting. Be with us throughout the day and help us to navigate whatever comes our way as we conduct our day. You are forever in our hearts and thoughts. We ask for your love, direction, and protection in everything we do. Amen. Members, could I get a motion and a second to approve meeting minutes from March 6th?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Members, before we bring on our U.S. Senator Angela Alsobrooks, Delegate Hartman, you and I spoke last night. I made an error, and would you please bring rise to the error and a solution?
Well, I don't know if it was much as an error or an oversight. A letter went out to the secretary concerning sharing concerns of regarding the cuts to DDA funding. The letter went out with only a few names, and I think it's misleading in not suggesting that all the members are concerned. So I just asked you that if you're going to use the stationery, that it either reflect your name or all those who are interested in being a part of it. And I know there's others that want to be a part of that letter. So.
Okay, so could we make a motion to redraw the letter with everybody's signature because of the nature of the DDA problem and the issues that you have?
Motion to redraw.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Wayne, last night for bringing that up. Okay, members, we have U.S. Senator Angela Alsobrooks with us. Senator, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning. I'm sorry, it took me a second there to get unmuted. Good morning. I am here.
Pleasure to have you with us this morning, and the floor is yours. Look forward to hearing the updates.
All right. Thank you so much to Chair Adams. Good morning to everyone, and thank you so much for the invitation to be with you today. I am joined, Kimberly Cradaville is on the line here. I also see Kevin Mack of our team, who are doing a tremendous job in leading us as our regional directors. And I am just also wanting to say this has been a challenging year plus, but it has been a real privilege to represent Maryland. And so I've really enjoyed representing all of you and appreciate the collaboration that we've enjoyed so far. Now, I can also tell you that one of the most enjoyable parts of the job has been having the opportunity to actually come around and to meet everyone and to visit various parts of the state. And so I've been really thrilled that even in these first 3 months, I've had the opportunity to visit Cecil County. I've been over to Kent County. We were there a couple of weeks ago, Queen Anne's County. And within the first year, we also enjoyed coming out to Dorchester, Talbot, and Worcester County over the last several months. And so it's been a real thrill to have a chance to interface with many of you and to hear firsthand the concerns of Marylanders. What I can tell you is just a few things directly. I'm the only member of my freshman class who came in not from the House of Representatives, but came over as a county executive. And what that has meant for me is I am really clear that my priority is getting things done for my constituents. And that means that I have been laser focused on what is best for Marylanders. It hasn't mattered to me, where they lived or whether we agree on every issue. It has been a priority for me to make sure that I am delivering for Marylanders. And the best way to do that has been to actually come out to meet with and to hear from my constituents from across the state. And, there are a number of issues that people have raised, but I can tell you that the number one priority is economic opportunity. I have heard this, I don't care where I've gone across the state, the real desire to make the kinds of investments that will help us to grow our economy and that will allow every Marylander to enjoy economic growth. And one of the issues that I heard, for example, pretty unanimously was the concern that people have regarding housing. Housing affordability is an issue in every corner of our state. I have heard it from our constituents very clearly that they want us to find a way so that our kids can live at least as well as we have and our parents have. My parents married at 21 and 22. My dad was a car salesman when he retired. My mom was a receptionist. But 5 years into their marriage, they could afford a modest home. That is no longer the case. We find that the age of a first-time home buyer right now in our country is closer to 40 years old. And so this is an issue that really has to be resolved. And so I have worked on the banking committee. I've been assigned to banking, housing, and urban affairs. I've been also assigned to the health, education, labor, and pension committee, as well as environment and public works. And so I've used my time on those committees to make sure that I am getting things done for Marylanders. That's the reason that I was really proud to work on the Road to Housing Act. This one, if you can believe it, even in this time of great division in our country. I'm proud that Tim Scott and Elizabeth Warren came together to pass out of our committee for the first time in over 10 years a housing package that will really address the issue of housing affordability in our country. And it passed through our committee. And we voted again. It passed through the Senate this week. And I worked on a number of provisions in that housing package. One of the provisions would allow federal dollars to be used to make
So was that last
repairs.
week when I said it got heated?
Well, look at this one here. Look, you got
They
this
got,
one. This pic-
oh my goodness. Oh, your screen's on. Your screen's on.
So one of the provisions in that Road to Housing package would allow access to a small amount of federal funds to make repairs on homes. And this is going to be really important for people, as you all recognize, is not just having the ability to purchase a home, but often people are pushed out of their homes because they cannot afford the small repairs that begin to build up and cause them to lose their homes. And so that is part of it. It's also allowing, we removed a loophole and remove some of the red tape that would allow banks to invest in developing housing that is affordable. There's a portion of it that deals with the appraisal bias, making sure that people get fair market value for their homes. And so there are many provisions. We also reauthorized for the first time the home program since 1994. That program hasn't been reauthorized since 1994. It would allow us to have to raise from 3 billion to 5 billion the amount of dollars that states will have available for first time home buyers and for other programs. And so Maryland benefits tremendously has benefited tremendously from that program. And it will allow additional dollars to encourage both the increase in supply in building homes, which is a real issue, but we'll also allow first-time home buyers and others to actually be able to afford the cost of homes. And so I was proud to work on that in bipartisan housing package. I also worked on on the Genius Act, where I was the lead sponsor of the Genius Act, because the truth is I have a 20-year-old daughter. And maybe like many of you, I recognize that this next generation is very interested in technology, uh, AI, quantum computing, the blockchain. They're very interested in innovation and technology. And so working to make sure that we were able to regulate and put the safeguards and the guardrails around the blockchain and digital assets and technology is really important. But I also fought in that bill, the part of the bill that I led was consumer protection, making sure that we're protecting consumers against scams and fraud, and also protecting our community banks, making sure that our small community banks that lend to our constituents to buy cars and other things, that we don't see massive deposit flight as a result of the crypto industry that would harm our community. So we want to encourage innovation, protect it, put the guardrails that will allow it to grow, but also make sure we're protecting consumers and also protecting our community banks. And so I worked on that provision as well. I also worked on the Small Business Tax Fairness and Compliance Simplification Act. To be able to give tax breaks to folks in the beauty industry and small businesses, as well as worked with Senator McCormick of Ohio for business to really remove a loophole that makes it easier for business development companies to invest in small and mid-sized businesses. And so economic growth has been an economic opportunity has been a real priority for me. And I can tell you this, because I recognize that my constituents want me to get things done, I have been able to develop a good number of partnerships across the aisle that have allowed us to really be successful. I have been able to do that by meeting a number of folks first at that Genius table. But I have done things there that, I've been able to make relationships, including there's a Bible study that I attend on Thursday that is bipartisan, where we're able to connect. I've just been really looking for ways to connect to make sure that we are able to build the kind of relationships that will make our state successful. And I'll continue doing that. Now, the partnerships that we have developed have helped us to really bring home some wins for the Eastern Shore, including $45,000 for the Kent County EMS headquarters enhancement. We have $1 million for the Barclay Community Center and Town Hall. We were able to bring 411,000 for the Rails to Trails expansion in Easton, and 1.4 million for the Thompson Creek Connector Road and Trail expansion in Queen Anne's County. 2.8 million towards a windmill pump enhancement for the Easton Utilities Commission, and 1.1 million for wastewater treatment plant upgrades for the town of Trapp. So, we found a way to bring home some wins. I have to tell you, I'll continue to look for ways for us to win, and really, again, appreciate working. We'll look forward to working with all of you. I just want to also mention that we found some common ground in some other areas as well. As I've mentioned, I'm on the Environment and Public Works Committee. I don't know whether I mentioned that, but I'm the ranking member on the subcommittee on infrastructure and transportation. And I wanted that because I want to, again, be able to bring those infrastructure dollars and other dollars back to the state. But we've been able to also really emphasize the importance of agriculture programs in the Chesapeake Bay, what they mean to local commerce and what they mean in particular to Maryland. And I can tell you this is a bipartisan issue. It's one that we've been able to develop some bipartisan support around. And we've had broad support also in keeping environmental protections in place for it. So, we came together also to support a federal disaster relief declaration that will provide relief to the state's oyster industry, and also reintroduce the Save Our Seafood Act, which we know is also really important to the shore. So my mission during my time in the Senate has remained the same. It's been to invest in our state so that Marylanders can thrive instead of merely survive. And, I want more people to have access to the American dream. So really, again, looking forward to continuing to work with all of you. I want to thank you so much for inviting me this morning, Mr. Chair, to be here. And I don't know if you have time for me to answer any questions, I'd be happy to do so.
We would very much like to spend some time with you with some questions. I'm going to start with Delegate Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator. Thanks for being with us today. I represent the Midshore, so I have Caroline, Dorchester, Talbot, and Wacomico County. And thank you for the TRAP wastewater treatment funding. That was a necessary project, and we obviously have more wastewater treatment plants all along the shore that we can use your help with. So my question is, I did see the other day that you and some of the delegation visited the ICE Center up in Baltimore City, and I think the reports I heard is that you found some deplorable conditions in that facility. Is that correct? And could you maybe elaborate on that visit a little bit?
Thank you so much, Delegate. Yes, so I did have an opportunity to visit the Fallon building where they have a detention center in Baltimore. And, what I can tell you, we found, and it actually wasn't just what we found, it was that the judge in Baltimore determined that the conditions were unacceptable and were illegal. And that was, and also determined that where they had set a capacity of 225 people to be detained in that facility, the judge determined that it was not appropriate to have more than 55 people in that facility at any given time. And we know that that facility has had more than 225 people at a time in there. What I witnessed in that facility was, again, the crowding would be unbelievable. Looking at the capacity, they had the number of people in each area posted that they were intending to house. So, for example, one space said 18 people. I mean, you could look at it and tell that there was no way to have more than maybe 5 people or so in a space that was designated for 18. It was like cinder blocks, benches where you'd sit is all they had in the room, and then one toilet that was for everybody crammed in that room to use. There was a toilet just in the middle, basically, no privacy, no anything for everybody to use. As best I could tell, there didn't really appear to be any ventilation really or anything in there. And I'm
So hearing all that, why then are you opposed to a new modern facility being built out in Western Maryland?
Well, I can tell you that I have lost trust and confidence in this administration where this issue is concerned. Let me just first say I'm a former prosecutor, so I am not opposed to us making sure that we follow the law. I want to ensure that we are removing dangerous and violent people from our communities. That's what I spent 13 years dedicated to doing. And what I have seen instead has been a focus on anything but that we have, really largely gathered up people. We've been focused on what I saw in that room, is grandmothers and people who are not the kind of people that this administration said they would target. And they have, instead focused on people who are pastors and law-abiding people and, have really, again, these deplorable conditions that I witnessed there, and I don't have any faith and confidence that this is not what the administration intends. So I do not support right now until we have seen some real reforms happening that I believe are necessary. And that's just, that's where I am on it.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe Senator Mouse was next.
Oops, sorry about that, Mr. Chair. And Senator Brooks, it's great to see you. I'm sorry I couldn't be in person. I'm traveling at the moment. It's great to hear from you. And I was very interested in your presentation. And, you brought up the disaster relief for the commercial watermen, which is an issue our delegation has been deeply involved in. And have you had a chance to review the governor's letter requesting that disaster relief?
I'm not sure that I've seen his letter. I know that we've requested disaster relief in a number of areas and have been disappointed that we have been denied the disaster relief that we have requested. But I don't know specifically which disaster relief letter you're talking about. but we also sent in, correspondence requesting disaster relief for the state. And, again, I've been disappointed because the federal disaster relief dollars that we're talking about are ones that people pay for with their tax dollars. And I believe that Marylanders should be granted those federal disaster relief dollars when we qualify, and we were denied.
No, yeah, but specifically regarding commercial fishing and what's happened in that commercial fishing market this year. I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood. Did you say that your office sent a letter requesting disaster relief for the loss of market and bay freezing and things of that nature? Did you say that your office sent a letter for that?
Okay, you know what? I see Kim shaking her head. Kim, can you jump in?
Yes, it was a delegation letter that went.
A federal delegation letter.
Correct. Yes.
So we spent several weeks working on trying to get it has to be initiated. There's an initiation point coming from the state of Maryland. The governor did send a letter, which we're grateful for. However, I've learned that in that letter, there may be some issues with regards to different requests for relief from things that may not exist any longer or not be available. I just was wondering if your office has reviewed the governor's letter to make sure that we're making the proper request, or the state of Maryland has made the proper request.
I don't know that Kim, are you?
Yep, I can jump in. Yes, the legislative team has reviewed that letter. And yes, it is right that the delegation signed the federal letter with Senator Van Hollen as well.
Okay, great, because we've gone through that letter and found some issues, and I want to make sure if there are issues that we'll convey them with you in the federal delegation, just to make sure that our request is touching all the proper points, because the economic situation in that part of your district is very dire right now. So I just wanted to highlight that. I want to thank you for your support, and I want to make sure that there were some concerns that perhaps we're not requesting, perhaps we're not making the best possible request that might be available to us. And if it's not correct, if there's a way we can, adjust it midstream or something like that, we'd be happy to work with you or do whatever, and the governor's office, so we know we're doing the best that we can to try to help our constituents.
Okay, perfect. You know what? We would love to connect with you if there's a way for maybe to have your information in the chat or something, so that we can just connect with you after this call. I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm not on camera.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll reach out, Senator Mounts.
Delegate Sample Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Senator. Thank you so much for being here. As always, appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'm just going to encourage you to keep moving forward and doing what you got to do. It's 3 points I just wanted to make this morning. One, thank you so much for bringing up the repairs for homes, and I'm going to specifically talk about for elderly persons, as you were saying with regards to your parents as an example. I've had phone calls from, citizens just referencing the fact that when we had the recent snowstorm, that they had limbs and so many other things were just happening in conjunction with repairs, traditional repairs that need to take place to their home, but they can't afford to do those because of the increase in electricity. They're trying to focus on that. So just know that the funds and access to the funds is very important, because we're looking now trying to find local handy people to just help those senior citizens that are in need of those repairs. So thank you for that. Second thing I wanted to just highlight was the immigration. Delegate Hutchinson brought it up, but the part I wanted to say is that just going to a local restaurant here in Annapolis, a young lady by the name of Katie, met her on a Friday, and then 3 days later, she reaches out to my office and tell me her father has been detained. And she said, when you arrived on, I think it was Sunday, I believe, they had taken all of them, or taken the people who were supposed to be there, and now her father's in Washington State. So she is one of many that are just trying to understand, their household is being broken up. They don't have anybody else as the financial provider because the father's gone and she's a junior in high school. So just want to let you understand the reality of that. The last thing I wanted to ask is if you could have a keen eye on the transition with this interagency agreement with the Department of Education. They are now, as my understanding, going to be or is dismantling and going over to the Department of Labor. But what I'm fearful of is the concerns of the funding and the grants and those things that traditionally have helped parts of the state and all over for that matter, just what's going to start happening with those funding sources as well as the intent of the monies that comes down to the locality. So if you could just keep an eye on that, I think it's supposed to happen in May to the Department of Labor. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you so much, Delegate. I will definitely, on each of those issues. Yeah, I agree with you. The home repairs are going to be needed for people. I think about my parents. As you get older, it's hard to make those repairs to homes and people end up losing their homes. And then I will follow up also in the interagency agreement with the Department of Education, make sure we're keeping an eye on it. And we're losing millions of dollars in our state for education as a result of some of those changes. So we're going to keep an eye on it.
Okay, thank you. Because, our local people, they may not be there physically in the Washington office, but they're working from home in Hebron. And so I just wanted to understand the reality of it. But thank you so much. I appreciate all you can do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Senator, I have a question. We're winding our time down, so this may be the last one, and we do thank you for your time. In our committee, I serve on Economic Matters Committee. One of the top subjects has been, cryptocurrency, the AI, and different technologies. And I would just like to take a minute and thank you for the work you're doing and leadership on that particular subject. During your presentation, you talked about a lot of the things that we're hearing in our committee. And what I found in my 12 years in Annapolis is when we sense that there's not enough activity or motion at a federal level, we start trying to pass bills for just the state of Maryland. And then you end up having these sort of like puzzle pieces of different policies for which we would much prefer to have the federal government act on. AI and blockchain technology and how that affects Marylanders. It's very important to hear kind of the testimony you're giving is that the federal government is acting, creating regulatory framework and also protecting the interests of folks that are using this technology, but also looking forward and saying, well, how's this technology going to be used, and help our citizens to the best of their ability benefit from the new technology. So, with that being said, I was very interested in the community bank part and the crypto part. If you could just expand just a little bit, because this really is like a top issue. I mean, look, we have the budget, we have all kinds of different things going on, but on this cryptocurrency, that's one of our top subjects in my committee of jurisdiction. Just thought I would get maybe a few more words from you on how you see AI moving forward and how you see the federal government acting in that and with this bill, the Genius Act, but also other things that you're working on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So this is a top issue. You're right. One that I have led on from our side on the cryptocurrency stable coin. As you know, I was the lead sponsor on the Democratic side for the Genius Act. And in market structure, the issues that we're working on are issues that came over from Genius. With the community banks, this has been the position that I've taken, is that we would not agree to pay, and the issue came to interest and yield, whether or not we would allow the crypto industry to pay interest and yield on a passive balance, rather than paying yield on activity. So for example, if you open up an account, use stable coins for purchase, I agree that you should be able to pay interest or rewards on that. But just holding a balance similar to mimics a bank-like product without bank-like protections. FDIC, we have the Community Reinvestment Act. So there are protections that banks provide, small and community banks and other banks provide, that we don't want to pretend to the consumer that those protections apply when they don't on a product that looks like a bank-like product. Now, I have gotten support for this position. Senator Tillis, as you know, of North Carolina, also Senator Britt from Alabama. This is one that Senator Round. So this has become a bipartisan issue because they have community banks in their states as well. And they have agreed with my position on this, that we don't want to stymie innovation. I believe that this innovation should grow and that the United States should be first in it. So we want to encourage the innovation, but just don't want to do something that will cause massive deposit flight from our small and community banks that the community relies on. And I think that this particular provision, the one that Senator Tillis and I have an amendment that we did together that says this, that you can pay yield and pay interest on activity, but not on a passive balance. So that's what we've done for cryptocurrency. I think that this is one that we are seeing the industry. I've been working with the crypto industry, been working very closely with the banks, and been working also, the White House has been in conversation with us as well as my colleagues. And I think we're going to, in the next couple of weeks, I expect that we'll see some movement. AI, let me just say very quickly, blockchain technology is going to be able to be used, I think, constructively. One example, the city of Baltimore is using blockchain to monitor vacant housing. They're using it to assist them as they're trying to tackle the issue of vacant housing. Been able to use the blockchain to track it, monitor it, and work to solve that issue. So I think we're going to be able to use it for other purposes. And AI, I think, is also going to be something, if used responsibly, I think it's going to be, first of all, we're going to have to really plan for it. But in a state like Maryland, where we have all of the health institutions in healthcare, it's a game changer to be able to assist with diagnoses, to assist. I got an example yesterday of a person who said that they're able to now look through medical records using AI and help to be more precise in terms of really giving diagnosis and treatment by being able to really look through medical records. So I think there will be some productive uses for AI. I think we're going to have to plan to make sure we're not harming the workforce. And seeing the massive losses, we're going to have workforce training, development, and just really plan for it. But all in all, it's coming. My position in two ways, I'll say this, and I know your time is short. I've been at these tables because I think that if we're not there, Maryland is not represented. So whether I agree or disagree with everything that's been said, I have made sure that we have been present and that I am representing, again, the interest of consumers and banks, community banks. And I'm going to continue to use that same approach as we go forward, is to make sure our voice is not absent from these very important conversations as we set up these frameworks regarding our economic future.
Thank you for that. Assuming the voters agree and they want me to serve for another 4 years, I look forward to hearing your update next year, because it seems like this moves so fast that the front page news and it changes. It is a transformative place we are. I can sense that in the next 4 to 5 years, we might look back and say, man, how much change there's been. And it's going to be AI, and it's going to be the advancement of these technologies for commerce. And I appreciate the nature of your leadership and how that's at a federal level so important, and that Maryland, again, tries to pass small bills because they want to try to deal with things that they're hearing from our constituents, concerns that we have from our banking and different industries. And at a federal level, it's far better to have a national conversation about these things rather than at a state level. Not that the state level isn't important, but the federal gives the right kind of regulatory framework to actually grow and use this technology to the benefit of the citizens. And thank you for that. You have the last word, and we do thank you for being with us today.
Well, Mr. Chair, thank you again for having me. To all of Team Maryland who are on the call today, I thank you so much as well for giving me a few moments to stop by. I look forward to working with all of you. Again, Kim Cradaville is still here. I want to just thank her so much. I saw Kevin Mack was on at some point as well, but Kim Cradaville is our lead in this part of the state. I want to thank her. Please reach out to us. We want to stay in contact with you. I hope that if any of you choose to come to Washington, that you'll stop by our office as well. But don't hesitate. We're here for your love representing you, and we're going to keep fighting to grow economic opportunity and to make sure that Maryland's interests are protected in the Senate. So thanks so much, everyone, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Senator.
All right, thank you.
Okay, members, next up, we have Eastern Shore County Economic Development Directors. And to the directors, are you going to take the presentation to run, or should I call down the list? Up to you guys how you want to handle it.
Yes, we'll take the presentation to run if that's okay, if I could share my screen.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Delegate Adams and members of the Eastern Shore delegation. I'm Heather Tonelli, Director of Economic and Tourism Development for Queen Anne's County, and I'm really proud to be here with you today with our Eastern Shore Economic Development team. We thank you for your continued support of all of our efforts and our county's efforts to grow our economies and the rural communities of the Eastern Shore that we love. One of the things that we wanted to share with you is the return on investment in the economic development world. For every dollar invested in economic development, there is a $9.18 return, which we're very proud of, and we even think that's a little light in compared to some of our more localized efforts in the return on that dollar. Another great thing that we were hoping to share with you today is back at the end of 2024, throughout the state, we worked with all of the economic developers, all 24 counties, to form a new Maryland Counties Economic Development Partnership, which is a MACO affiliate. And that affiliate is working together to advocate and support economic development efforts throughout the state. And we were able to work on looking at our incentives and what we could do to support those existing incentives. And so during this recent term, we worked to support the Decade Act, and largely due to the existing incentives that are spoken to or elaborated on in the Decade Act, including MEDAF, Job Creation Tax Credit, and then one of the others that we definitely see a lot is the Research and Development Tax Credit. What we find is with the new lighthouse industries, some of the rural areas were concerned that we weren't supportive of the legacy industries. So within our feedback to you and to Commerce, we definitely wanted to support those legacy industries. As you all know, on the Eastern Shore, tourism, farming, seafood, maritime, manufacturing. Not that we don't have innovation in tech, we certainly do, but those key legacy industries are so important to the economy of the Eastern Shore, and we ask for continued support. Those incentives that I spoke to earlier are certainly key to helping us remain competitive with our partners in the state, but also, as you know, in the region, Maryland is low on the totem pole when it comes to being competitive. So keeping those incentives are really important. We're happy to support your efforts as you work to lift up our watermen and our tourism industry, and we thank you for all that you've done to support those thus far. And we've made sure to save time. We're going to move through each county. We've made sure to save time at the end to answer any questions that you may have. And I'm going to get started with Queen Anne's County, where Shore Living begins. And I wanted to focus on one of our projects. It's actually several projects. As you're coming home from Annapolis, I'm sure you've seen on the right-hand side, just east of the Bay Bridge, we have a complete redevelopment of that area. Hinckley Yacht, which is a large luxury yacht builder, actually bought the Bay Bridge Marina, and they are looking to expand that opportunity there. We also have the completion of Bay Manor, which is a mixed-use development, and as many of you may know, that's a harder development that we see occur nowadays is filling that retail, and that actually is doing really well on the retail end. And last but not least, we have a Wilson's Cove, which is a 32-room boutique hotel that's going to complement the Chesapeake Bay Beach Club, which is also there. And just across the way, we have a company that's already local looking to expand Tech Ops. So we've seen a lot of redevelopment in that zone, which is also an enterprise zone, which just in 2025, we saw $10.3 million in capital investment and 257 jobs supported. And this is it just in Queen Anne's County. So you can see that those enterprise zones are really important for us in our rural communities. And I'd like to pass it over to Bob in Caroline County.
Hello, Chairman, delegation. Thank you so much for some time today. I know you all are very busy as crossover approaches. So I wanted to highlight a couple of the bigger projects we're getting ready to complete using funds from the Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund. Caroline County is concluding two projects representing $4.5 million in targeted investments, including $2.65 million of foundational funds from the Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund. First of all, we're finally wrapping up the Chop Tank Marina complete overhaul project, a revenue generator for the county. The Chop Tank Marina is operated by Caroline County Recreation and Parks in partnership with the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. A $3.2 million renovation is nearly complete. $1.3 million from the RMEDF and $250,000 from the county enabled a match to $1.6 million in DNI waterway improvement funds. Some folks are really dying to get back in their slips, and we're hoping to reopen this spring. And then there's the Denton Industrial Park. Using $1.3 million from the RMEDF, Caroline County partnered with the town of Denton to expand the Denton Industrial Park by building a new roadway on county-owned land, with future plans to annex the property into town. The project will be completed this spring once temperatures are warm enough for the pavement to cure, and completion dates on both of these projects are very much weather dependent. We're reaching capacity with industrial space in Caroline County. So being able to expand industrial space is going to be big. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time. Oh, sorry. Sandra is up next with Cecil County.
Good morning. Thank you. Thanks for having us here today. As you know, Cecil County is bisected by I-95 and Route 40. We have easy access to commuter freight rail, nearby ports and airports. And Cecil County is the gateway to the Northeast region of the country, to the rest of Maryland, including obviously the Eastern Shore. With the new I-95 interchange coming at Belvedere Road, opening later this year, it's going to provide direct access into Principio Industrial Park, which is the second largest, or Principio Business Park, the second largest industrial park in the state. And that's further strengthening our ability to attract capital investment and business. We're also advancing transformational projects like the redevelopment of the former Bainbridge Naval Training Center, where Ryder, a third-party logistics company, is already operating in phase one. Aquacon, a Norwegian indoor farming operation, is coming in phase two. And with additional tenants, we hope to announce very soon. Another major project is the Southfields planned unit development in Elkton. That's bringing much needed diverse housing, retail, hospitality, and industrial park. And it also includes a regional sports tourism complex supported by a $54 million Medco revenue bonds. Cecil is also home to world-class employers like Northrop Grumman, W.L. Gore Associates. Northrop Grumman continues to expand with its Hypersonics Capability Center, which opened in 2023, the new Propulsion Innovation Center opening this summer, together creating more than 300 jobs so far, with the potential for many more with the recent U.S. Navy contract that they've got, which they hope continues to grow if this first phase is successful. Meanwhile, Gore is our largest employer with over 3,000 employees across 14 facilities, and they generate $1.3 billion in local and state economic impact. None of this growth is happening without programs like the Enterprise Zone Job Creation Tax Credit and other incentives that the businesses need to locate and expand here. Economic development, as you know, it's not one size fits all. Our rural counties face unique challenges and opportunities. Across the shore, all of our directors and our teams are united by a shared commitment of attracting investment, creating jobs, and supporting businesses while preserving our rural character and quality of life. I just want to point out, kind of building on what Heather has said, I think it's really because it's not one size fits all. Any changes that are being considered to state programs affecting economic development, they really need to be vetted with our local and regional EDOs first. And with that, I will turn it over. I believe Dorchester is next, and Susan Banks.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Susan. Oh, I'm frozen. Here we go. Thank you. Good morning. I'm going to speak about rural innovation. So on the side, you'll see some pictures from the Eastern Shore Innovation Center, and on top, you'll see a picture of construction that's begun in our tech park. We recently sold 3 lots, and we're in the process of selling 3 more to a company called Fire Risk and Alliance. They're a nationally recognized leader in fire protection, engineering, and hazard analysis. They're going to work with a wide variety of industries, including aerospace, defense, battery, energy storage, data centers, and industrial manufacturing. They're planning to build one of the most advanced fire science research facilities in North America right here in Cambridge. The facility will include 30,000 square feet of testing labs, and it will feature one of the world's largest calorimetry fire hoods. And it'll be about between 55 and 65 feet tall. The project represents millions of dollars in capital investment. They hope to create between 300 and 500 jobs over the next decade. Jobs will include everything from skilled laborers to technicians, scientists, and engineers. But projects like this don't happen without the right support systems. Rural communities need the right tools to compete for innovative companies and high-skilled jobs. Entities like the Rural Maryland Council and the Rural Maryland Prosperity Investment Fund, TECO's rural initiatives, Marbitco, and even the University of Maryland MIPS program. They help turn new ideas into businesses and jobs in rural Maryland. With your continued support for these programs, we can ensure that the Eastern Shore continues to grow as a catalyst for economic opportunity. Thank you for your partnership and your commitment to rural innovation. Up next is Jamie Williams from Kent County.
Gosh, thank you, Susan. I can't be more excited for your project there. So thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. But I do want to say thank you for the opportunity to share how we are advancing economic growth and opportunities through strategic infrastructure and incentives. First, the Millington Wastewater Treatment Facility expansion is one of the most significant catalysts for development in Kent County in decades. So by modernizing and expanding capacity along the US 301 corridor, we are unlocking new commercial, residential, and infill development. That simply were not possible with the existing plant. So reliable wastewater infrastructure is foundational in economic development activity. And this project positions the region for sustainable long-term growth. So equally important is the partnerships behind this project. This is a true intergovernmental effort. Kent County, the town of Millington, Queen Anne's County, state and regional agencies, federal partners all working together. It demonstrates how coordinated planning and shared priorities can deliver meaningful economic outcomes for the Eastern Shore and the entire state of Maryland. So complementing that investment, Kent County has built a strong tax credit toolbox that helps businesses grow and keeps us competitive statewide. We have 3 enterprise zones, Chestertown, Rock Hall, and then the Wharton-Betterton area. And these provide real property and income tax credits, all based on capital investment and job creation that encourage business attraction, expansion, and redevelopment. Our Commerce Zone, which is a county-only tax credit, but it includes all of our priority funding areas. And then we have the Arts and Entertainment District that further supports targeted revitalization and place-based investment. And then we have a residential sprinkler tax credit. And this helps make homeownership safer and more affordable for working families. So together, these infrastructure improvements and incentive programs form a cohesive strategy. We are reducing barriers encouraging private investment, and building the conditions for a stronger regional economy. So continued state partnership is essential in keeping that momentum moving forward. So thank you. And now we'll hear from Danny Thompson, Dorchester County. Oh, sorry. Danny Thompson, Somerset, but is it Talbot or Somerset?
Somerset.
I didn't hit the mute. Yeah, it's Somerset. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, Danny Thompson, Somerset County Economic Development. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, the Eastern Shore delegation. Great to see everyone. And then Heather for putting this together. I think it's a great opportunity for us to showcase. You heard Sandra say one size doesn't fit all. And so you've heard about the importance of tax credits, enterprise zone, job creation tax credit, and the like. But I want to turn that into a real example to the delegation. We recently, last summer, around June of 2025, Paraton Aerospace Company announced their closing in Princess Anne. They had recently bought the Northrop Grumman division of that facility, and they operated there for about 3 or 4 years, but then they decided they were going to close. And so we had a 55,000 square foot building that employed around 30 to 40 engineers type jobs. Average salary was over 100,000, which in Somerset is a big deal. And so in June they announced that, and I want to say some of you probably seen the press release, but we were fortunate to sign a lease with Credo Aerospace. They went in, signed the lease in December. We didn't miss a rent payment or anything in that. They actually now are the tenants. They signed a 5-year lease with another 5-year option on it. And the reason that we were able to get them so quick is because they were in our enterprise zone. The job creation tax credit applied, and also the building was available. This building was built in 2000, and it was under a program back then where they built about 7 of these buildings across the state of Maryland. It's a beautiful building, and so that's an example of real life benefit. Also, Senator Mounts had mentioned the seafood industry and agriculture. So, anything that we can do, you guys can do. I know it's tight with the budget year. So anything you can do to help our ag and seafood is greatly appreciated. And also, we are working on the Cross Bay Ferry. And so you'll see some more activity coming up with some smaller routes. I'll call them test runs. You'll be seeing more of that as we move forward. It was great to see everyone at the Taste of the Eastern Shore. I love the event. Thanks to my Tri-County Council friends for putting that on. And just remember, rural does matter. And now I'd like to turn it over to my good friend from Talbot County, Cassandra.
Good morning. Thank you, Danny. And I want to say good morning, Chairman Adams and members of the Eastern Shore delegation. If you've traveled Route 50 into Easton recently, you likely noticed something remarkable rising on the north side of town. That structure is the future home of the University of Maryland Shore Regional Medical Center, and it represents one of the most consequential investments in the history of Maryland's Eastern Shore. On behalf of Talbot County and our regional partners, I really want to say thank you. This project became possible because the state of Maryland, the Eastern Shore delegation, made it a collective priority. Your leadership helped move this vision from conversation to construction. The economic impact of this project is extraordinary. I know you heard from Ken recently, but I really want to hit this part hard. During the 4-year construction period alone, the project will generate $1.1 billion in economic activity across the state of Maryland and support more than 4,200 construction workers, both full-time and part-time. And when the doors open, the impact continues. The finished medical center will support more than 1,500 full-time healthcare jobs, providing high-quality careers and ensuring that residents across the Midshore have access to world-class care close to home. Healthcare is one of the most powerful economic drivers on the Eastern Shore. According to the Delmarva Index, more than 18,000 people work in the healthcare industry across your region, generating more than $1 billion in annual payroll. So today we thank you not only for supporting this project, but for recognizing that investments in healthcare strengthen both the health of our communities and the health of our economy. This project reminds us that when the Eastern Shore speaks with one voice and the state listens, we can accomplish extraordinary things. What is rising along Route 50 is more than a medical center. It's a promise that the people of the Eastern Shore deserve world-class care and world-class opportunity. So thank you for your time this morning, and I will pass the baton to my colleague, Dave Ryan of Wicomico County.
Thank you, Cassandra, and good morning, everybody. I apologize. I am traveling and will be audio only. Just a singular focus this morning on the Salisbury Ocean City Airport update. If we look at 3 sectors on the airfield, let's take a look at scheduled airline service. Piedmont is still headquartered there. We still have a large maintenance presence there, IT center, operations center, and some other ancillary facilities throughout the community. Still flying to Charlotte and Philadelphia. I think we're up to 5 or 6 flights a day. Breeze started in October to Orlando. They'll start in July to Fort Lauderdale, providing scheduled airline service. From a corporate and general aviation standpoint, Azor has located on the airfield a very strong, experienced fixed-based operator. And you'll see significant growth in the coming years from general and corporate aviation. And then from an industrial sense, we're focusing on establishing Wicomico's 3rd fully served industrial park on the airfield. We're just a little bit away from that. And we expect that to house a number of jobs in the years to come. Whoever's sitting around these tables, I think 10 years from now may very well point to the establishment of the UMES AMT school on the airfield that can drive all of those activities, whether it's on the scheduled airline service or the corporate growth or the industrial growth. So a lot happening on the airfield for good reason. It's a couple $100 million of economic impact to our region each and every year. So again, I apologize not being in person. Hope all are well, and I'll turn it over to Melanie to bring us home.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much, Chairman Adams and the committee, the delegation. So as you've heard from my colleagues, these incentives that we've been talking about are absolutely critical for us in these rural areas. And certainly, rural economic development does look different. Certainly our impact is just as significant. And some of these investments that might seem small, especially for us in the more urban areas, really are significant and make an impact. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the projects and initiatives that we have, but also want to kind of bring it home in terms of our collaboration and some things that we're kind of asking for your support. We have the ag industry, $2.8 billion in economic output, 370 farms, our tourism industry, 239 million in tax revenue generated. Those are certainly our highlights for Worcester County, but manufacturing and commercial fishing and aquaculture are critical as well. And, they always talk about having the diversification, and we are so tourism heavy. We've been really focusing on trying to diversify our economy in Worcester County to be sustainable and also to capitalize on, some of these highlighted, lighthouse industries, as well as working with NASA Wallops. But with regard to some of the specific projects, we're really thrilled that Dolly's Candy is actually finally expanding off the boardwalk. They're in a super tight space on the boardwalk. This is a small multi-generational woman-owned business. 125 years in business, and they're looking at creating, 10 to 15 jobs with $3 million of investment. And these jobs are looking upwards of $40 an hour. Unfortunately, a project like this isn't really fitting some of the criteria for these state incentives. So we're struggling a little bit. We fell out of One Maryland this year. We're hoping to get back in. So, these are the types of projects that we want to be able to help support and grow and let them grow to a capacity that is sustainable through the years. And in addition, we talked about enterprise zones, and with the Decade Act and some of the new programs there moving over to Medco, we're hoping to have a little bit more flexibility and maybe even establishing an enterprise zone in this region of West Ocean City. Also like to share, I'm sure you have heard with Hardwire's expansion, they've just finished up this 80,000 square foot facility and this $416 million defense contract. And, what they're doing there is absolutely unbelievable. The fact that it's happening in Worcester County is very exciting. But again, creating high paying jobs. As the senator mentioned early with regard to housing, that's certainly an issue as well, and housing some of these engineers that are coming in. So we do have some developments going on in Pocomoke City, and we're hoping to see some additional development in the south end of the county for that workforce and housing. The commercial fishing industry and aquaculture, this is something that I know that is so critical to the entire Eastern Shore. But for us here, we have the only working commercial harbor in the state of Maryland. And that is why we've been so, viciously supporting the industry and opposing offshore wind. And we know that we have all of you on our side with that. But being able to finish up dredging in the harbor, looking at the maritime trades and technician training that's going on, and we're excited we're going to start that at our CTE over here, as well as the some of the manufacturing that's going on with Duffy Boat Works. So the maritime trades, fishing, aquaculture, we're helping doing some marketing because the state marketing for fishing and aquaculture and the industry is just really kind of abysmal. It's something that we really need to focus on as well, but that's a whole nother conversation. And also with regard to workforce, we've been working with the Tri-County, the Rural Maryland Prosperity Investment Fund to create the Skilled Trades, Ag, Tourism, and Technology program, which is really a spinoff of STEM. And it's been very successful, about 130-ish students per year, to introduce them to the types of industry and the types of careers that are here in our county and on the Eastern Shore. We certainly want to keep our young people here and keep that entrepreneurial spirit growing as well. But with all of this, we definitely want to highlight the return on investment with economic development, the $9.18. But also we work together, we work collaboratively. I did want to mention that we have created a rural Eastern Shore consortia. We've been meeting monthly. And again, that was put together to help share ideas, advocate together. We even had a piece that we put out at Summer Mako for Eastern Shore and rural economic development. And we really appreciate your support. And we look forward to bringing some of these projects forward and continuing to, make the Eastern Shore look very, very good in the eyes of the entire state of Maryland and all of our legislators and decision makers. So thank you very much.
Okay. Melanie, thank you for closing us out on that. Looks like we have a question from Delegate Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If Dave Ryan's still on, Dave, you still there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Great. So impressive to see what's happening at SBY. Seeing that Breeze has now expanded to Fort Lauderdale, I take that as a good sign that the flights to MCO have been going well. Do you suspect there'll be more expansion in the future to other sites in Florida? And I'd like to put my recommendation to add West Palm Beach someday. So thank you.
Thank you. I'd be shocked if there were not more destinations in the future. And I think you'll see more frequency in existing destinations as well in the future.
So far it's been going well.
It's going well right now. Absolutely, they're pleased. 15% of the flying public in our market area that get on a plane in Salisbury. 85% who's going to fly in our market area drive somewhere else. And that leakage is the issue. And when they drive somewhere else, the number one destination is the South Florida market, which is why you're seeing additional flights to the South Florida market. We believe there's other opportunities with other carriers, including our existing carrier in the future years. We think there's significant opportunities on the industrial side. It's a 200-acre industrial park. Maryland State Police is there, FedEx is there, and Purdue has their corporate hangars there. And I think you're going to see significant development over the next 5 to 10 years in maintenance operations. These are lots of jobs, lots of capital investment. But I think that school, we're just starting to turn out the talent now. Our first class is in the middle of their first year. They'll graduate, believe it or not, in August of 2026, and we've got about 18 right now, 18 maybe 20 on the wait list to get in for the next class, which will start in August of 26. We've capped it at 25, and we can scale up to 125 A&P mechanics each and every year. So I think it's connect the dots. It's an important economic development project for our region, and it's very sustainable well into the future. Thank you for your question.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, sir.
Delegate Sample Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a question, but I did just want to say thank you so much for this presentation today. When those persons were able to give us real life examples, and I'm going to specifically say, namely Somerset County, of how the industrial park has been utilized with the funding and the sources, the enterprise zone and things of that nature have been utilized to make sure that the economic engine is still afloat there in Somerset County and throughout the whole Eastern Shore. I just wanted to say that it's important because when we are sitting here in Annapolis and telling the story of how we have to utilize some tools to make sure our economy continue to thrive, that's what we can speak about, and that's what we'll continue to share. So to all those who conducted the presentation this morning, is very important. Thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I'll just double down on what Delegate Sample Hughes said. Having this sort of update at this point in our legislative session is so important because many of the priorities that you as a group at large advocate for need state support, and not only moral support, but financial support. And I think that the message you're sharing with us is that as a region, a rural part of our state, that we're equally important in these conversations. And you can expect all of us here in Annapolis. I think the budget's going to be presented next week, and we'll pay close attention. And please keep us in contact if there's anything we can do to support your endeavors as we close our legislative session out in 2026. So with that, if somebody would like to close out, we'll move on to our next presenter.
Yes, thank you so much for your time today. And it's really exciting for us as economic developers to hear what our peers across the Eastern Shore are accomplishing. We're might be small, but we're mighty in as far as what we're able to bring to the shore. And that's largely due to the support that we have from our commissioners and our delegation here. So thank you for your time, and please utilize our economic development directors in their offices as a resource on anything that comes up that we can support you in or offer suggestions or questions. We're here to support you, and thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Okay, members, next up we have Beach to Bay Area Heritage. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to let our president say a few words.
So I'm the president, Mindy Burgoyne. I don't know that everybody really understands how the heritage areas work or what they do, but as an economic development, business development person from the Maryland Department of Commerce, it's very easy for me to work with them because they do so much that is a catalyst for economic development. So they're a layer of zoning that's mapped out with assets that are related to heritage, and they're very much focused on heritage tourism. And the reason that I love working with them so much is because we have the Atlantic beaches, which draw a lot of tourists, but we also have these heritage assets. And the heritage area and their projects and their bringing down of funding to improve heritage projects really allows these small businesses. It's a real catalyst for spinning off small businesses in the area, for entrepreneurship, especially in the areas of outdoors. So it's not just historic churches, it's also waterways and trails and food and all of these small businesses. So by supporting the heritage area,
I can support an organization that kind of lights a fire under these small businesses. And Lisa will tell you about that. I do want to brag a little on Lisa and say that she's been the director for the last couple of years. She has raised over $1 million for the heritage area that has come in from outside funding, which was really a record for us. And she'll tell you about some of the amazing projects that this heritage area has sponsored and money that it's brought back into the community. So I'll leave it to you, Lisa. Okay, well, thank you and good morning. I'd also, just before I start, would like to recognize a couple people on this call this morning. We have our program specialist, Andre Nieto Jaime. And Andre is a graduate of Salisbury University, wanted to stay in the area, and he's sort of their star of the Shore Corps program at Salisbury University. And we were fortunate enough to grab him from the AmeriCorps program and have him continue on with us. And I know you just heard from Melanie Purcell. She may still be on the call. She's our vice president. So we do love having participation from all of the county DMOs. So if I could, I guess I can start sharing my screen here. Let's see. Okay. So I know you know about the heritage area and what we do, and I want to thank you for all the letters of support that you write for us when we are applying for grant funding, and it really, really helps. As Mindy said, and what's a little bit new this year with the Heritage Area Program for the management entities like us is they are holding us to 3 goals and how we're going to accomplish those goals. And the first is economic development. The second is community enhancement. And then the third is sustainability, which we are always trying to become more sustainable through lots of grant writing and projects. But just a little bit about our public outreach. We produce an annual report every year. I think I sent you a digital link. We have a newsletter that goes out monthly, and we hold public programs. This one was held last year when I think it was March 9th, that was declared the women, the 6888 women in Maryland. So we held a free public program that drew over 100 people to the Chipman Center in Salisbury for that program. And family members showed up of some of the women from the 6888 from the shore, and it was really moving. Some of the projects we did, we completed a new mural in Ocean City at the Henry Hotel. That was done with Department of Commerce funding. We also showcased a brand new documentary that looked at African Americans in the armed forces. Another project that was funded by the Department of Commerce. That total project took in murals, this documentary, some radio programming on Delmarva Public Media, a bunch of outdoor interpretive markers. So it was a really big, comprehensive African American tourism product development project. We undertook a brand new project with funding from the Rural Maryland Council through their MERDAF grant. We love that program and support that program very much. We worked with the Pocomoke Indian Nation on this, called the History, Heritage, and Homelands. It's a new guidebook that talks about the homelands of the Pocomoke Indian Nation and includes all of the museums between Worcester and Somerset County, museums, parks, and trails, follows the old Beach to Bay Indian Trail, which is a national recreation trail. And in conjunction with that, we also did 11 new outdoor interpretive signs for the History, Heritage, and Homelands Trail. And some of our projects and partners, we worked with the State Office of Tourism to sort of develop more deeply this partnership with New Jersey, Delaware, and Virginia to create a Cape to Cape scenic driving tour, a coastal tour that goes from Cape May, New Jersey, over to Cape Henlopen and then Cape Charles and across the Bay Bridge Tunnel to Cape Henry. And that was really a fun project that Andre really took the lead on. And then some of our partnerships, we are continuing to work with the entire Eastern Shore on the Chesapeake Country All-American Road and working with Salisbury University for the Maryland 250 celebration. The Beach to Bay Heritage Area and Salisbury University created this Lower Shore Commission and doing lots of really cool projects with the Maryland 250 funding through the Once in a Generation grant. We also have started really working and convening all of the museums and historic sites on the Lower Shore to really address some of their challenges and how we can help them get more visitors and figure out how to make their money go farther. This is just a snapshot of some of the funding that Mindy discussed and some of the agencies that we are receiving money from. It is a never-ending job to go after the funds to help us do what we do. A lot of heritage areas are management entities and really focus on the management of the heritage area. We are really project-driven to try to get more visitors to come here and really drive up that economic development. So these are the funding. This is the MHAA funding that went to our heritage area last year. And you can see the City of Salisbury, Crisfield Chamber of Commerce, the Henry Hotel Foundation, Museum of Eastern Shore Culture at Salisbury University, and the Berlin Heritage Foundation all received heritage area funding to do these really important projects that draw visitors to the region. And then we have a mini grant program through the heritage area funding, and each year we distribute $25,000 in mini grants. And you can see here Crisfield A&E, the Maryland Coastal Bays, Delmarva Discovery Museum, the Worcester County Economic Development and Tourism Office, Ocean City Life Saving, and the Community Players of Salisbury. And that is a match, and some of it is cash, some in kind, but they really leverage that money to put on these fabulous projects. And that's a program that we continue each year. So in 2025, we had a really, really good year as far as being recognized, and we're really proud of it. We worked really hard. We were recognized by the Community Foundation with the Richard Henson Center Nonprofit Award for Excellence. That came with a $5,000 prize and a lot of recognition, and it was really gratifying to receive that. It's sort of the top award in the region for nonprofits. The Maryland Tourism Coalition gave us the Best New Product Award for our History, Heritage, and Homelands Guide. The Maryland Historical Trust, we received the Excellence in Public Programming and Exhibits for our African American Heritage Tourism products. We received the Audience Choice Award at the Ocean City Film Festival for the documentary Warriors Beyond the Battlefield. And it also won Best Documentary at the Black Filmmakers Festival in Toronto. So we are really excited about the things that we've been doing and hope that you're proud that you represent the Beach to Bay Heritage Area. And looking ahead, we are working on a 4-county public art trail, and that will include Dorchester County, and a new water trail guide. We're working with the DNR on that for the southern coastal bays. We're doing this in a sort of a 3-step process, and this is the first, and then we're going to be looking at the Pocomoke River and then the northern coastal bays, I believe. So hopefully this water trail guide, we are nearing the finish line on this, and we'll see this in print within the year. And then working with the Maryland 250 Commission, our project for the Lower Shore Commission is Voices 250.
We are going to be doing oral histories of 250 different individuals throughout the 3-county area. And these interviews will be edited by the Delmarva Public Media and archived at the NAB Center. And really looking forward to targeting a lot of events and festivals and talking to people about what they love about here and what the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness means to them. With that, I think that is like the super fast version of what we've been working on. But again, we really can't do this without your support, and we appreciate it so much when I ask for letters. I know I get teased a lot, but they really, really do help. So thank you very much. And I don't know, Mindy, if you had anything else, or we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. I do want to share while we wait to see if anybody has questions. Seeing the community players of Salisbury being supported through your organization is very exciting. That's a very nice program. I do have a question for you about the Salisbury Folk Festival. So that was originally a national program that came through. It's now more regional. My question is this a festival that you see continuing into the future, and how do you see our delegation supporting that moving forward? Just some thoughts, because that's sort of in my backyard, and I noticed that partnership with you and surely others to make that happen. Just curious.
It is a really important festival, and we definitely really get behind supporting them. And the grant that they got last year was to really focus on the Maryland Folklife Tent. Typically, the Heritage Area Authority will not fund the same event year after year. They want to see what's different, what's new, why is this, so they really focused on the Maryland Folklife Tent last year. Now, I do know this year they're coming in with another application, and they're really going to focus on the 250th anniversary and some of those events. So they are continuing to make that different. And I haven't read their application yet, but the city of Salisbury always puts together a really, really good one.
We're very committed to supporting that event because it was a national event at one time. So, yeah.
Good. All right. So seeing no further questions, thank you, Mindy, Lisa, for presenting. It's nice to be able to get the connection with the economic development directors, also DMOs, and your organization. It tells a very compelling and important story about partnership as we advance the interests of our area through tourism and education, really. So I think that's a wonderful story to share. So thank you for your time today. I'll give you a last word, and we'll move on.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, we really, really, really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, members, we're going to move on to our final presenter, we think, in the 2026 legislative session. So we have Maryland State Archives, Elaine Bachman. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having us. I am Elaine Rice Bachman. I'm the state archivist. And with me on the call today, presenting with me, will be Emily Olin Squires, Assistant State Archivist, and Corey Lewis, Assistant State Archivist. And we also have Sari Wish, our Executive Assistant. So I'd like to share my screen if I can be given the opportunity to do so. I have a brief slide deck.
You've got it.
Okay, let's make sure I can do this. Are we seeing this?
We can see it.
Share. Are you seeing my slides?
Yes, we can. Absolutely.
Excellent. I will put them on slideshow. Well, in lieu of you coming to see us in person, we're the little agency that you drive by every time you go down to the State House on Royal Boulevard, the State Archives. We would love to have you come in person when your time allows, because I think the best way we can show what our agency does is for you to see in person our operations. We're a small agency, as we say, with an incredibly large portfolio of responsibilities. And if I could leave you with one message today as we work through this program, it would be that the responsibilities of the archives are becoming more complex as we move into the future of electronic records. So I will move to, here we are, our public location. You know, this is really the heart of our public services is here on Route Boulevard, 350 Route Boulevard. This is our building that celebrated its 40th anniversary last year as an agency. We were founded in the 1930s. Our first home is now on the St. John's College campus. You know it as the library for St. John's College. In 1984, under the leadership of Ed Pappenfuss, who hired me in 1994, we moved into this purpose-built building here in Annapolis that houses 40,000 square feet of record space. And in 1984, Ed predicted that we would run out of space in about 2000 for paper records. He was pretty spot on, except it happened a little bit earlier than that. So today we also have a secondary facility in Woodlawn, which we acquired through the leadership of my immediate predecessor, Tim Baker. And in that secondary facility, we were able to compile what had been 3 rented warehouses throughout the county of record material that could no longer fit here in Annapolis. So that is now all compiled under one roof, along with a really state-of-the-art storage facility and conservation facility for our art collections, because in addition to being the repository for all of Maryland's public record material, permanent record material from the colonial period to the present day, we also have a vast collection of special collections, which means non-government records that are cataloged and made accessible through the archives. We also care for the entirety of the state-owned art collection, which is everything you see in your own office building that is owned by the state, paintings, furnishings, the historic collections in the State House, Government House, and museums throughout Maryland, which is actually how I came to work at the archives as the curator of the state's art collection. But the search room here is our place of our public-facing agency, which we are open to the public Tuesday through Friday of every week and the first Saturday of every month for walk-in hours, and you see those hours there. This is the search room that people encounter when they come into the archives. So if you make an appointment in advance, which we strongly encourage, you can ensure that your records are made accessible to you, assigned a space in our search room. You'll be personally assisted by the archival staff on duty. We also have computer terminals, as you see on the right, for people to come in and access some collections which aren't accessible online remotely, but only accessible in our search rooms. And those are available to anyone who registers to come into the search room as well. While we encourage appointments so that we can assure that the record someone needs is made available on site, it's not necessary. Although in the case of some, if you walk in looking for a particular historic vital record, for instance, it might be at our offsite facility and would take a day to get here. So we encourage appointments, but they are not required. Here you just see a little bit of that 40,000 square foot of stack space that I was describing on the right. Those are rolling compact storage, quite state-of-the-art in 1984 and still serving us very, very well. And also on the left, you see an image of a self-serving scan station in our public search room. So wherever possible, we are trying to help patrons help themselves in terms of digitizing a record that they have, photographing a record, and that's right on site, and you're assisted by archivists. And in looking at that right-hand picture, I just want to go back to the issue I brought up initially, which is the challenge of electronic records. Those paper records that you see on the shelf there represent millions and millions of paper records that we have. They are very stable. They're in acid-free boxes. They are put on a shelf, and barring any natural disaster, because of the environmental conditions that we maintain in our buildings, we can preserve that piece of paper, for 1,000 years. An electronic record that comes to us in electronic form also has to be preserved for posterity. That is our mandate. But it is an entirely different endeavor to take an electronic record, transfer it onto an electronic platform, and then ensure its accessibility 100 years from now, meaning it constantly has to be migrated to updated electronic platforms in order to keep it accessible. That's far more challenging and far more expensive than paper records, which was the traditional mode of archiving for 300 years. What you see here is just a sort of a snapshot of our homepage that gives folks a sense of all of the links that we have. So much of our collection is made accessible online. So there are many people who can fully fulfill their needs by contacting us and doing an order online. But also, it is sometimes necessary to be here in person or to have some interaction with our help desk. So when a person encounters our website, there's a help desk line. They field hundreds of calls on a weekly basis from people to give them the right advice as to how to be able to fill whatever order request they have. So what I'd like to do now, because there has been some attention this session and last to the archives, and we can certainly talk about MD Land Recs if you wish, and I've got Corey on the line to talk about that. And I'd like to first start with a bill that's in front of you all this session about our fees. And Emily, would you mind just sharing some of the services, the patron services for which we have small fees and the revenue that brings into the agency?
Sure. So our guests that come to us, they may need assistance finding records for legal needs, such as estate settlement, pension documentation, real ID has been a big thing, remarriage if their name has changed, or they could need support conducting historical research, completing a school project, or building a family tree. Sometimes they come to us during a very stressful time in their lives, and our staff has to share their empathy with them, as well as their professional expertise. The vast majority of this interaction is provided at no charge to the public. For instance, professional archivists work closely with guests both in person and remotely to help them hone their research through hundreds of millions of records in order to connect with exactly the one single one they need. And as Elaine pointed out with the picture, viewing materials in our search room, either in hard copy or on the computer, is also free, because our wonderful appraisal and special collections staff have created publicly searchable catalogs that are completely accessible online, detailing every single item in our collection. And our incredible digitization staff has built an electronic archives, which has linked tens of millions of records to our catalogs, and have made treasure troves of those over 100 years old freely accessible online for direct public use and download. So our electronic infrastructure makes all of that service and public access possible. However, there are some services that we do need to charge customers for, such as if we need to conduct the research on behalf of individuals to provide officially certified copies of documents in hard copy. We also have fees charged to organizations for services such as providing digitization, for which we are a preferred state provider, conservation repair services, or web hosting. These fees result in an average of between $1.5 and $2 million per year to our agency, and we are dependent on these special funds for up to 20% of our total budget. And I mention this because, as Elaine said, there are 2 bills currently put forward this year without any notification to our agency that would limit the state archivist's authority to directly set these reasonable fees. And being unable to recoup these real costs for the services would impact far more than the Maryland Land Records program. It would affect our ability to maintain public catalogs, public access to computer terminals, our development of public document image viewing platforms, our public hours, our public order fulfillment platform, and even our cybersecurity. So it would plainly result in reductions to our services. So I will take any questions if there are any, or pass it back to Elaine.
Thank you, Emily. I just want to move a little bit further through our slides, and then happy to take questions. And I wondered, Corey, I'm showing the image of our digitization services. I want to say that we try to be entrepreneurial where we can and efficient in serving our other state agencies, because we're constantly working with all the state agencies on retention schedules to determine what records are permanent and what will eventually come to the archives, and help them understand what is the what is the life of the records they are using and which portion of those come to the archives. And sometimes we're able to connect with agencies on digitization services that they need to make their paper records more accessible. And Corey, would you mind just sort of explaining the digitization services that we're providing to other agencies right now?
Sure, Elaine. So the archives has been at the forefront of mass digitization since 1999. Initially, this was set up as a way to populate MD land rec through the digitization of microfilm and or the Platts.net platform. Currently, our operations extend to not only digitizing records that are most requested by the public and internally by our staff, but as Elaine has referenced, we provide digitization services to agencies around the state. Currently, we are working on a large project supporting the Child Victims Act of 2023. This covers 12 facilities, boys' homes facilities around the state, over 16 million images, 6,000 record center boxes. This project is done in cooperation with Department of Juvenile Services, Department of Health Services. We expect other agencies to have included scopes of this work to support this litigation that is growing. Outside of that, we have just recently procured 2 mass digitization systems that will help agencies transition from paper to a paperless environment, ensuring efficiencies in the transfer of records, permanent record material to the archives, as well as being able to provide valuable services at a reduced cost to our state agencies. Elaine, I'll turn it back to you.
Sure. Thank you, Corey. And that's really a really quick rundown of some of the range of our services and some of the to get back to that complexity of the electronic records. To give you an example of we are more and more now taking in permanent record material that is born digital, which means it's never been paper. So what Corey's been describing is sometimes it's a process of taking a paper record, making it digital so it can be more accessible. And now we're more and more having records that have never been in paper form. So we have to plan really carefully with those agencies to ensure that when it is transferred to us, it is stable. We keep it stable. We're able to catalog it, make it accessible, and continue to make it accessible into the future. That's a huge endeavor. And I think it's reflected in our budget requests over time, the need to have the rotation of equipment over its life cycle so that we aren't deferring maintenance to the point that we lose access to those records. Another challenge that we don't even have time to get into today is the current challenge facing really all agencies, which is ADA compliance to the Title II ADA compliance law. It's a particular burden on archives because we have so many of other agencies' permanent records in our collection that as we make those accessible, as we bring more and more of those online, they have to be ADA compliant. We don't have the tools or the resources to do that at this time. So we're really facing a deadline of April where we are sort of furiously trying to make as much online record material in compliance with the law, which is, of course, is our desire and wish to do. But the very real challenge of being able to afford the tools to convert PDFs to ADA accessibility. So you see some of that in our budget request, those of you who have access to that and are a part of committees reviewing that. But with that, I understand we're the last presenter. You all have other things to do. We'd be happy to take questions. And of course, you have a standing invitation to come and see in person what we do here at the archives. Thank you.
Okay, Elaine, thank you very much. And while I wait to see if there are any questions, I will say I think we have a bill in Economic Matters Committee that relates to the fees, and I'm only asking the question primarily because I think this is sort of an issue that came up last year, where some attorneys were saying that there was a change in the fee schedule and how that related to the work that they do, because it's research work that they're doing that they end up having to be compensated for through the lens of who's asking for it and who they're helping. But has there been any development that relates to that subject? And is this the bill this year that sort of meets the moment as it relates to your financial and budgetary needs against the needs of the community that asks for this access to the records and how they have to financially translate that to a fee that they charge their customers ultimately. So
sure, no, I appreciate that. There is a Maryland Land Rec work group that Senator Gazone convened, and they are studying with our stakeholders who we've been working with throughout the year to find a sustainable funding model for archives to maintain MD Land Rec, because it was a convenience fee for those who want to access it remotely, and it's become a business model for people to sort of run their businesses, for-profit businesses, sometimes on a free service. But it's not free to maintain it. It costs about $5 million a year for us. So we have a work group that's been very productive, working with the Judiciary Administrative Office of the Courts, the stakeholders from the title and the surveyors community, the real estate community, and archives, along with the governor's office, to look for a future sustainable funding for MD Land Rec to keep it accessible. And we're sort of awaiting the outcome of that. I think it'll be a future solution, and I hope we're going to be given some support in the meantime so we don't have instability over the next year. But it is not our intent to have a paywall for MD Land Rec. And you know, we believe that there will be a future funding model that makes it stable. So I appreciate it.
Right. And I think that's a good point that you're making, because I think any agency that serves the citizens of the state come with a cost. And if you're not able to attribute the cost in a way that reflects the service you provide, that becomes a unfunded, we call them mandates here in Annapolis, but really at the end of the day, it is a mandate, because you've got an obligation to the citizens at large. And that is an interesting and emerging subject matter that's narrow, because it only hits so many people. But when you need historical records, all of a sudden it's probably a bargain at the end of the day, the service you provide. And
well, it is our mission to make records accessible. So it is our mandate, but it is costly. So if it is something worth having, it's something worth funding.
I respect that and agree. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. We do appreciate your presentation, and I tell you what, I will take you up on your offer to come visit someday when I'm coming through.
When you're less busy, please do. You drive by us every day. Thank you.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, members, we have federal updates, so I'll let the group go in order as they wish. I see Kim Cradaville. Why don't we start with you, since you were center of attention today.
Yes. Good morning. I just wanted to say I followed up Johnny or Senator Mouts with an email to you regarding the inconsistencies. That's the first I know our office and CVH's office had heard about the inconsistencies with the governor's letter. So I sent you an email if you could send me some of those details. Also, congressionally directed spending portal closes on Sunday. So local governments and nonprofits, please forward those on to us. And looking forward to seeing y'all soon. Thank you.
Okay. Mike Detmer.
Thanks, Mr. Chair and delegation. Congressman Harris made a statement today criticizing the governor's Meat Out Day in Maryland, March 20th, a week from today, saying farmers and watermen have been under siege from this administration. He cites what he calls a mass covering of farm fields by subsidizing state mandated solar panels, and also referencing the historically challenging year for the Maryland oyster industry and the timing of encouraging people not to use those products. Also, the congressman yesterday made a statement in support of a letter that was sent by Maryland blue catfish processors here locally, raising concerns about the proposed Mitigation Action and Watermen Support, or MAWS Act, calling it well-intentioned, but he amplified their concerns about some of the supply, some of the messaging, and some of the incentives that it would create. Other than that, as always, tours, citations, flags, or any federal concerns, we'd be happy to help with. And a reminder that the Congressman's Art Contest deadline is April 23rd. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. Alyssa Hastings, Van Hollenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In recognition of the last delegation meeting, just wishing you all fantastic close to your session. many of you know I'm expecting. My due date's March 30th, so I'll plan to be online as long as possible. But if you cannot reach me, I'm probably going to be a little occupied, but I'll have detailed instructions in my out of office reply for who to get in contact with in my absence, and I'll be back. Thanks.
Okay. We're excited for your developments, and thank you for the update here. Members, any questions for the delegation? It appears that there are none. And then members, anything for the good of the order before we make a motion to adjourn? Delegate Hartman.
So, Chris, how many more meetings do we have this year of the Eastern Shore?
So I this is the last one scheduled, unless members would like me to bring in somebody else, but I believe this is rounding out my 4 years of being the chair of the Eastern Shore delegation.
Exactly. So I just wanted to thank you for your 4 years of diligent service to the Eastern Shore delegation, and make sure everyone was aware of that end of your service, and then publicly thank you for what you've done. You've done a great job representing the delegation. So thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that. If nothing, I had long meetings, and some of those days we were barely on the House floor before they were done. So
I'm glad you don't talk as much on the floor as you do on this. So with that said, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All right. All those in favor? Okay. Wayne, thank you, and everyone will see you soon. Thank you.
Good.